All right, we are back. It is episode 15, Troy, of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. Can you believe it?
I cannot believe it. It's a pretty big moment here. I don't think we maybe thought there was a 40% chance we might get to 15 episodes. I don't know what we were thinking, but it's been great. I love it.
Yeah, I would have guessed we'd had about 10 listeners by now. So everything's gone much better than planned. Did you get me anything for our 15-episode anniversary?
I didn't get you a thing except for my dying admiration of all the work you put in.
Oh, wow. It's touching. I still would have preferred a present, but so what's going on this week? Anything exciting in your life?
Not much. Going to your cabin on this weekend.
Yeah, so we're having Troy's family up to the cabin this weekend. It should be good. A lot of fun. We're going to torture our wives with hockey card talk, probably relentlessly, and wish them the best of luck, I guess, in that regard. But yeah, looking forward to that. So there's a couple things I wanted to mention before we got into the show today, Troy. The first is the Mt Rushmore of centers. So if you haven't yet caught the last episode, you might want to go back and listen. We have been nominating by position groups, so starting with left wing, right wing, defense, goalie, and then centers, what we think are the NHL Mt Rushmore of each of those position groups. And we finished off those last week with centers and got the first three we agreed on, which were Gretzky, of course, and then Lemieux and Yzerman, and we were torn between Crosby and Messier. And at that point, we decided to let you guys vote and put up an Instagram poll. Had a lot of response, Troy. That surprised me.
We did.
How many people did chime in there. But it was pretty overwhelming. My guy Crosby, by about 80 to 20%, won the vote and was nominated or enshrined, let's call it, to the fourth and final position in the Mount Rushmore of centers. So we announced that today on Instagram. You can see that there too, but just wanted to, I guess, tie the bow on that one before we today and a little bit later, and you'll talk about too, we'll tackle the ultimate Mount Rushmore regardless of position group. Yep. So looking forward to that. The other thing I wanted to mention quick is would it be famous or infamous now OPT Platinum Hobby Box that we've been opening and sharing on social media?
I'd call it just our epically bad, horrible worst hockey box I've ever seen. And you know what's bad? I was telling Josh this. I was watching some breaks, and when you join the room, your name pops up, and a couple people saw Gong Show Troy, and they started jumping on. And all that people could talk about was how bad the video series has been on that OPG Platinum box and how bad it is. The series still running. A lot of comments about, well, the auto's got to be a banger. Let's see who the auto is. We'll see who the auto is. It's coming up, I'm guessing, in the next day or two. I don't know what the exact,
there's 4 packs left. So
yeah. So we'll see who that is. But yeah, a lot of comments on how epically bad this box is. I feel like you're going to be in the shower, like the crying game, in the corner crying with the shower running over you to wash off all the bad voodoo from that box.
Yeah, so if you're the type of person that loves to slow down at car crashes or loves to watch train wrecks or fail videos online, this is the video series for you. And you can see it on either TikTok or Instagram at our Hockey Cards Gongshow accounts. For one, I guess, serious point on this, Troy, you and I have talked about this outside of the podcast, but I do think it's important to mention that we are committed to, and part of the reason why we do this is to show the ups and downs of ripping hockey cards.
Yep.
Right. We started our first series with an OPG paper hobby box and had probably one of the most epically good boxes of all time. And now on the heels of that, our second hobby box is pretty awful so far. And so we don't want to just present only the best parts of the hobby. We want to try to be as real as possible and show that sometimes boxes stink.
Yep.
And so we are committed to do that. All right. You want to start with the game plan and we'll get rolling?
Definitely. So on today's show, we will start with another impromptu Troy card shop visit. So my world travels are continuing last weekend. This time I decided to take a quick trip to Nashville, Tennessee, and I'll give a little update on how that came to be and how it was. Then we give our reactions on the recent release of 21-22 Upper Deck Extended Series, along with some value updates. Next, we will look at the World Junior Tournament that just wrapped up on the men's side and look at some of the NHL prospects and how they performed and any implications from their play. We'll then move on to wrapping up our famous Mt Rushmore of hockey discussions by looking at who we think should be on that final NHL Mt Rushmore. Who are the 4 players that stand above all the others to take their spot on the final Mt Rushmore? Should be a exciting topic. We then wrap up the show with our new product releases and our personal pickups and or sales.
Okay, Troy. So it's now 2 weeks in a row that you've hopped on an airplane basically to go look at sports cards. And the first thing I have to mention again is without me, which FOMO has never been at its highest level. I couldn't go again because my daughter had a hockey tournament. So obviously I would have preferred to be there, but why in God's great name did you again jump on an airplane and go to a card shop? Fill us in here.
So let me ask you this. Did you have more FOMO over missing the Vegas card show or FOMO over the Nashville card shop?
Probably Vegas, but okay. I was really curious to see where you went in Nashville though, too.
Definitely. So this one a little more impromptu. It was kind of weird because I actually, obviously I buy lots of hockey cards, love hockey cards.
Wait, can I stop you just for 1 second? Sorry. So you said this is a little more impromptu. How do you get more impromptu than 2 weeks ago on Friday saying, hey, do you want to go to Las Vegas to a card show tomorrow?
Yeah, you're good point. I was thinking the card show made sense where this one was just like almost, I had the itch. I just want to go somewhere. So that's why I was saying it was just this one seemed maybe it didn't have as much reasoning behind it, but there was a little reasoning. So I'll kind of do my thought process.
Continue.
So I was saying buy hockey cards, lots of hockey cards, love hockey cards, live it, love it, all that stuff. But I also buy other sports and I like baseball. So I also buy baseball cards. And there's been one set I've been really enjoying. It's the 2021 Topps Chrome Platinum anniversary set that came out. And the big chase in that is the Mickey Mantle insert. It's a recreation of the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle. It's a refractor. It's 1 in 11,400 packs, whatever. So I bought a hobby box and I was joking with my wife and my kids. I'm like, well, here we go. Let's pull the Mantle. 4th pack in, what did I do? I pulled the Mickey Mantle. And so what I was thinking, I was like, well, I'm going to keep this card. I want to get it slabbed. And from listening to, I can say it, Sports Cards Nonsense, they deal with Nash Cards in Nashville, who's an SGC submitter. And so I was thinking, well, they're in Nashville. I kind of want to go to Nashville. Maybe I'll just go get my card. I'll submit it through them and get it slabbed, but I'll actually go into the store and do it. So that's what kind of led me to Nashville. And then I started thinking, well, Nashville, Predators, Pecorine. I could probably do some Pecorine hunting. I can go visit Nash Cards. And then also I collect vinyl records. And I've been collecting vinyl records since like the mid-90s, as a junior high schooler. So I got a good collection, but I was figuring Nashville would have a lot of good record stores. Talked to my daughter and she likes records and she kind of was interested. So I said, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to go to Nashville and go there in the morning and get there in the day or leave at night. I'm sorry. And so the plan was to go Saturday. Friday night, my wife and kids, we went to the Broadway touring play of Wicked. Got home about midnight, and during the play, I remember this, that, they silence your phones, and what did I do? I silenced everything, even the alarm. So go to bed, and all of a sudden, my wife just wakes up, and she goes, well, I take it you're not going to Nashville, because it was now 8 o'clock, and our flight was supposed to leave at 7:30, so totally missed the Saturday flight. And I was kind of bummed, because I was like, oh, shoot, well, now we're not going. So talked to my daughter. I said, well, we can do it tomorrow. There's some openings. and she was all for it. So we just pushed it to Sunday, left in the morning.
Is it, I think it's probably appropriate at this point to mention that you do work for a company that allows you to get free air travel.
Yes. And it's standby. It's not like, I mean, there has to be seats available at the end of the day, but yeah. No, so
it makes impulsivity in this regard easy. It's not like there's the Gongshow Air private jet yet. Maybe soon, but not yet.
No, it's a great perk that I have, and the company's awesome, and they encourage travel. So it's one of those things that I definitely have. I really haven't taken advantage of it a lot in the past, a couple times, but now I've kind of used it having these reasons. So that's the story how kind of Nashville was decided. So get to Nashville, me and my daughter, we went to Nash Cards, and the whole reason I went there was to just get that one card slabbed, and found out you have to have 5 cards if you want to submit to SGC.
Oh, geez.
So I, that kind of went out the window, but then I got to tour and look around the store. The store was Nash Cards. It was really nice shop, like super nice, very clean. Lots of stuff. It was the most wax I've seen in a store. They had a good amount of hockey, and then they also had retail and hobby boxes. So if you were, if you wanted to step down to retail, they had that. They also had hobby. They had extended series. They had it at a decent price. They had OPG. Series 1, Series 2. They had most everything. I didn't see any Black Diamond though. And they also had a huge Pokemon section if you're into that in the back. It was a really cool shop. The employees were awesome. Looked at all the singles that were in the cases, and there wasn't that much hockey, which was, I thought there might be Predators, but there was not a lot. And talking to the person that was working at the store, he was newer, but I kind of started asking him about hockey and if they sold a lot. And it was kind of a funny comment he made. He's like, yeah, last week we actually sold a lot. One guy came in and bought 5 boxes. And I kind of just took a step back, and I was like, okay. And I heard it. Maybe I heard it wrong, or I was just like, okay, that's great. We see that being bought in 5 minutes in some shops up here. So, but it was interesting. It was really cool to see it though. It was a great shop.
To kind of recap your world travels.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, okay, first I want to say we may have to start a segment based on like where in the world is Carmen Santiago and where in the world is Troy this week. So as far as what shop you're at, I'm now convinced we share the same brain. After this show, I was actually going to tell you that you need to put an Instagram post out there on where in the world should Troy go next. Because one of the things I had written here is, the last 2 weeks I've been in Vegas, Nashville. But I was going to send a kind of a thing out to all our listeners. And when we post this episode, the Instagram post saying, what's on it, it's live. I want people to comment, where are some really cool card shops that have hockey? I want to find a card shop that has a lot of hockey. Maybe they're not out there, or I don't know. But I was going to tell you to do that, and then it's kind of funny you brought that up. Okay, we'll do that. And then we'll pick a weekend where I can go. That would be great. I have heard from a few people that there might be some hockey, ironically, at the Burbank show. It sounds like there's a bigger one there this weekend. We're committed to go to the lake, so we won't be going there. But it'll be interesting to see what people's reaction is. And I think that, so like, what's the point of all this? If we kind of try to summarize is, well, now in 2 weeks, you've gone to a decently big show in Vegas and one of the more known card shops in the U.S., Nash Cards, and hockey has been there, but a little underwhelming. Is that how you would describe it?
It's completely correct on how I would describe it.
Okay, so we will get some feedback. We're looking for shops that have a lot of hockey. We are still planning on going to the Expo in November in Toronto. So from what we understand, of course, that's probably the biggest opportunity in that regard. But congratulations, Troy, on flying around the world again this week looking for hockey cards.
Yeah, and I will say I was disappointed with myself. We only hit one card shop, me and my daughter. We started going to some record stores, and then we went to Third Man Records, which is, if you know the White Stripes, it's Jack White, his records store, and they're actually a plant too. I think they press their own vinyl. We spent a good amount of time there looking around. It was really cool. It was really small, but a lot of really cool stuff. And then my daughter wanted to go see some more record stores, and then she wanted to see some comics. And by the time it was like, well, let's go see another card shop, I started looking at the availability numbers coming back, and they were slowly shrinking. So I'm like, well, let's get to the airport and maybe jump on an earlier flight, which of course didn't happen. We got on the last flight, which left at like 6 p.m. So I was disappointed that it was my fault we didn't get to more card shops, because I can tell you there's more than Nash cards in Nashville.
Well, just a reason to go back.
Yep, reason to go back.
All right, well, let's talk about Extended. So that was the big release last week. Upper Deck Extended Series came out. From everything that I've gathered in watching breaks and chatting with people on social media and my own experience opening some boxes, it seems like that everyone's pretty high on Extended and likes it.
Yes, I have not seen, obviously there's been some negatives, but the positives I think have outweighed the negatives a lot on online commentary, people posting. It's actually been really fun to watch. I haven't watched a ton of it being ripped. Obviously you sent me some stuff that you've hit, but it looks pretty cool. There's a lot of cool stuff in it.
Yeah, and it gives Upper Deck really two pretty good and releases in a row as far as people's feedback, with Black Diamond a week or so before that. And now Extended. So I made a bunch of notes, Troy, and I know you've seen them, but just for everyone listening, kind of broke it down into what I think are the positives, some maybe negatives in Extended, lingering questions, and then we'll go into some interesting values that I found. So we'll start with the positives. Really, the biggest thing that stands out to me is it's like hits galore, Troy.
Yeah,
they're just everywhere, and I think Upper Deck did a really good job here in eliminating some of the inserts that people make you feel like, oh, this is a little bit of a bummer pack, right? So when people are opening up Series 2 and there's a Joe Thornton base card for OPG as the quote-unquote hit of the pack, that's a little bit of a letdown. And there's really hardly any packs in Extended that kind of give you that feeling. And probably the quote unquote worst card or worst hit card is a canvas, which I think most people, maybe like a canvas of a veteran, that most people love canvas and really like those cards. So as I was ripping through it, definitely felt like there was a lot of hits. To go a little bit further, a lot of the inserts are really cool. Like I really like the SPX foil cards. I think they're not numbered, but I think they're really kind of great looking, and they really pop with that kind of that rainbow foil look. Love the tribute Young Guns. So this one, and this is just going to go on basically your taste of what Young Gun card designs you've liked throughout the years. But so they did 06, 07 this year. Last year, if you'll recall, was the 05, 06 tribute. But I just think the cards are pretty awesome. There's some die cuts from UD3 that I think were cool. One of the biggest hits, though, Troy, seems to be the canvas mascots.
Yeah, the gritty canvas. That is absolutely fantastic. I love that they did the gritty Young Guns, and now I love that the canvases are coming out with gritty. That's great.
Yeah, and then there's the black. The black canvas is actually a pretty good chase of those. So the black canvas for mascots is 1 in 400 packs. So it'll be interesting. I don't think there's been a huge amount of sales of those, but over the next 6 months or so, it'll be interesting to track how people are valuing those. The Black Diamond inserts are pretty cool. They're, to me, one of the biggest improvements is in holographics.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you compare the 2020 card versus the 2021.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I thought last year holographics were kind of just junky. I didn't like them at all, but I think they look much better this year.
The secondary value wasn't great. I think for maybe like the gold Kaprizov and the 2020 extended, those go, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but decent value there. Where this year's, there's almost like a bubble 3D look to the card as you twist it in your hand a little bit. You get a lot of, and the quality seems a little bit better to me on those. So I'm going to be curious. And I think I've heard other people share the sentiment as well, that they really like them a lot more. That's another one that'll be interesting to track the value on and see no, it's just holographics. We don't value it as much.
Yeah.
Or while these are a lot better, maybe we'll see some better values with this rookie class, especially. Any other positives that you had or wanted to mention?
No, you hit them. You hit most of the ones I would have wrote down. So
there are a couple negatives, not super bad, but well, I guess one of them probably is.
One of them is.
There's a big time error in the tribute, both the base and the Young Guns, it looks like. So again, these are the 06-07 tribute cards. So as we all know, right, the high gloss parallel for Upper Deck is numbered out of 10, and exclusives is numbered out of 100. Just on those tribute cards, Upper Deck flip-flopped the serial numbering. So high gloss is out of 100, and exclusives is out of 10.
Have we seen anything officially from them on this?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
And I actually pulled it was a base card, but a Jordan Kyrou high gloss, and it was numbered out of 100. And and it was the first day of extended release. So I was super confused and went kind of down the rabbit hole trying to research that. Again, probably not great, especially again, for me, it was disappointing because I think those card designs are pretty awesome. But yeah, looks like a big error. I don't know have you personally ripped much extended yet? Or I know you have some boxes. Have you opened them?
I have not opened them yet.
So I'll be interested to get your feedback, Troy, and if others want to chime in on social and let us know too. I kind of feel that the quality took a step back from Series 2, just the overall card quality, where quality seemed to be a little bit of an issue with Series 1. There was a noticeable difference in Series 2 that I think most people shared, and it's a little bit of a step back. Seen a lot of edge issues, some corners in packs, and again, kind of real similar to the Series 1 experience.
That was kind of my question. It is, when you said quality issues, is it, around edges? Is it around color? Because I thought Series 2, the printing actually looked really good. Like, I thought the colors looked good, the pop of the cards. And I was curious if that held and extended. You never know. I mean, they could have we know they have different factories where they print these things.
Sure.
All that stuff. But
yeah, I didn't notice a print, a color or dynamic or it's more corners and edges of the boxes I opened. Anyways, continuing sort of on the negatives, this is a tough one for me, and I kind of want to be a little careful. But so there's a lot of numbered inserts, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
But a lot of these serial numbers are really high, right? So I think most people would point to the SPX Finite, where the most common version is out of 2,999. And, as we watch a lot of breaks and try to do a little market research, I guess, is how you'd put it, and see how people are reacting. Whether people are in the chat room or the breakers will rip one of these cards, they'll say numbered, 347 out of 1 million. Right. And I think that's just the general sentiment that people have when you get into cards that are serial numbered out of 1,000, or in this case, out of almost 3,000 for the SPX Finite. My theory is that this is how Upper Deck is trying to manage print runs with growing demand.
Yep.
And also have cool inserts, because the SPX Finite inserts are awesome. And my guess is out of 2,999, they won't have a lot of value. There is a gold version that I've seen out of $799. I've actually pulled a couple of those. There might be some smaller print runs too, but yeah. And so that's SPX Finite. You have there's those kind of crazy yellow die cuts, the UD3. Those are out of 1,000. The trilogy cards are really cool, but those, again, at level 1 start out at 999. So I don't know, if you pull I pulled one of the UD3, it's called Future Impact, one of those yellow crazy die cuts. I pulled the Cider out of 1,000, and I'm just not sure it's going to hold a lot of value.
Yeah.
Because people are going to look at that 1,000 number and be like, this is not scarce enough.
Yeah. And I struggle with this one because I like the idea of getting more inserts in, numbered inserts. Obviously they're high, but look at Topps. Topps does this stuff all the time with Series 2 or Series Baseball, they'll have out of 2021, because it was 2021.
Sure.
So obviously those print runs are probably a lot bigger on Topps Baseball overall. But I think Upper Deck has heard us in the past, and now they're starting to try to move into taking our suggestions. That's what I'm going to leave it at. I think since we're these, that's what's happening. But I do like
as much as I'd love that to be true. I think the checklist for extended was done long before we talked to them a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
but
I like the direction.
That narrative.
I like the general direction. We're getting there.
It is very good. The only other thing, and I was going to say for a second a small point, but for me, it's kind of a big point. I'm sure all of you have noticed this, and I'm not sure if this is just extended. It might be in Black Diamond and some of the more recent releases too, but any serial numbered card, there's like a little tape mark where they stamp the serial number that goes beyond the... It's so weird, and I hate it. It kind of takes away the whole vibe of the card.
Yeah, you were kind of explaining this to me. So you're saying it's not, the number isn't stamped into the card. It's almost like, is there like a sticker that it's stamped into? Is that what you're kind of saying?
No, it's in the stamping process. Okay. There's like a tape mark.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Like on your wall, like that's painted, right? If you stuck a piece of like Scotch tape to it for a year and then peeled it, it would leave a mark where that tape is. And so it's a little like very thin. I'll show you next time you see a person, and I'm sure others can chime in as well. This might not bother some people, but I'm really into, especially in cards that have like a foil. It's really distracting to me. Maybe that's the word. I don't know if it's just, and I've never seen that issue before. And obviously having serial numbered cards isn't anything new. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what in the production process is doing that, but my hope is that can be fixed going forward.
Gotcha.
Last little negative, and this is not an Upper Deck issue at all. It's just more of, the Young Guns list is pretty thin at this point, right? So if we think back to Series 1, where there's 50 Young Guns, in Series 2, there's 50 Young Guns. In Extended, there's 50 Young Guns. We're at 150 rookies for 2021, 22 at this point. And out of curiosity, Troy, I looked up, there's some roster flexibility that each team has. Yeah. But there's 732 maximum NHL roster spots, right? And so when you have 150 rookies in 1 year, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to conclude that most of or a good chunk of these I don't know what the number is, 2/3, may not play much ever in the NHL. And so, I guess at this point it's a little thin as far as names, and there's not a big chase, of course, like Sider, Raymond, Byfield, or anything like that. I do have a couple lingering questions, or any more negatives for you so far?
I was going to bring up the thing that you're getting to next. I knew it was in there. I couldn't find it, but the next point is really interesting to me.
So I did have a couple, I guess, lingering questions that I will be curious to see how this plays out. To me, one of the cooler inserts in all of Extended is I love the retro 05-06 Black Diamond, and especially the Rookie Gems inserts. And it sounds from what I can gather, for a number of the top rookies, people are, the secondary sales values are pretty strong. It's just weird to me to have a really great Black Diamond insert in Extended like a week after Black Diamond comes out.
Yeah, that I still am trying to wrap my head around that. It was the first thing that I thought when I saw. I think I was watching a break and I saw it. I mean, I knew they were in there, but it's just that you didn't realize how close these releases are to each other. And to me, it's so strange having a Black Diamond insert in a product that came out 2 weeks after the Black Diamond.
I think it was a week after.
A week after the Black Diamond came out. It just seems odd. I don't know if it was planned like that, given all the stuff that Upper Decks had to deal with. But I just thought it was odd. But they're cool cards. I mean, I love the cards, so I like it from that standpoint. More
the interplay between the two releases and how that it might help. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or it hurt. It just seems a little strange, and I know Upper Decks had a lot to juggle, and they're doing their best, I'm sure, to get caught up, and not everything's going to be perfect, but I can't imagine that this was part of their plan to release Black Diamond and then a week later release a product where one of the key inserts is a Black Diamond insert.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the other question I've already kind of mentioned is, will what I think the improved holographics hold better value, especially the gold parallels. So if you have a gold Cider or Raymond or Zegras, only time will tell.
I do have to ask you. I think I might have asked you this, but on the record, look at that. I just said it. So did you pull any of the vinyl record insert cards out of Extended?
I did. I pulled 2.
Is it the new Hundo P, or does it look better than the Hundo P?
Oh, I think it's better. So I pulled a Keith Yandel.
Oh.
And I can't remember the record it was for. The other one is a little strange. So I pulled a numbered. It's like a rainbow foiled, really, really not bad looking. Brett Hull, right? So everything sounds great. The only weird thing is he's in a Red Wings sweater.
Interesting. Yeah, I was curious how those look. Obviously, I love vinyl records. I just thought it was weird that they were going to have a vinyl record insert. I mean, but hey, they know the market. Vinyl records are the new hot thing.
Sure.
So they capitalized on it. So I was curious. Hopefully, when I open my boxes, I'll probably get one, I assume. So I'll see it firsthand.
I open it and I'm like, sweet. It's a numbered card. It looks cool. Brett Hull. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know how many people are really chasing Brett Hull and the Red Wings. And so obviously I think what they did is it's like a timestamp, right? So they took whatever record he broke, he must have been playing with the Red Wings at that time. So that's why he's in the sweater. Okay, let's look at a couple of values. So I kind of broke this off into 2 categories and just going to give the top, I guess, players from a rookie or young gun perspective. And then I wanted to also share some of the top inserts. So we'll start with young guns. The leader now after, to this point is definitely Seth Jarvis from the Hurricanes. So I got a couple of values here. His regular young guns right now selling about $21. A canvas is about $25. Young guns French variation about $65. A clear cut recently sold for $155. And in total, if you look at all his young guns, all the variations he sold since Extended was released, about 52.
Be a card ladder? Is that card ladder? Okay.
And then the next guy I looked at was Alexander Holtz. He's, from a regular young gun standpoint, his value is kind of second best. And so that's selling for about $18 right now. A canvas you can get for $21. There's a black canvas that sold for $52. And somebody pulled a Young Guns clear cut exclusives. So the very rare version of those. And that went for $374. And so there's been 47 total Young Guns of all varieties sold for Holtz. He's with the Devils too, in case I didn't mention that. Then you have Turcotte, who Upper Deck really marketed as part of this release. He's with the Kings. Regular Young Guns has been selling for about $15 right now. French is $38 and Clear Cut is $96. 45 total Young Guns sold for Turcotte. The next guy would be JJP, John Jason Peterka from the Sabres. His Young Guns pretty low at about 11. Young Guns Canvas 18. Clear Cut, one silver, 154. He's a total 46 total cards for his Young Guns that have sold. And then the last guy is Jack Drury. He's with the Hurricanes as well. So really, I mean, Hurricanes have 2 of the top 5 in this series. Not bad for them. $11 for regular Young Guns, 13 for Canvas, 36 for Black Canvas, 42 for Clear Cut, 18 sold. So to me, and I think you had a similar reaction, Troy, the biggest thing that stood out wasn't even as much the values, but not a lot of cards have been sold for these guys.
Nope. That's the one thing that kind of, and obviously we're using one source, but Card Ladder pulls in from 15 different sources. And that was the first thing that stood out, was just the number in aggregate didn't seem like a lot.
Yeah, so I don't know really what it is. Are people just not really interested in these guys? Is it like, okay, we're getting to the bottom echelon of rookies here? Is it the fact that we're at the peak of the offseason, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
Really the middle of the offseason, and people are thinking about baseball and summer trips and not as much buying hockey cards. Is it the fact that there's been a lot of new releases out recently and more coming, that people are protecting their war chest for that? Yep. I don't know. Do you have any theories?
I would say it's probably, probably a little piece of all of those. But to me, having this young gun class in this set they're not the biggest names you've heard of. So if you do pull a young guns, it seems like a lot of people might just hold on to it and see what these players can do once the season starts. If they're on a roster, unless you get one of the higher or the exclusives with low number or a serial numbered, then like that young guns clear cut exclusive, I think I'd probably sell that too if it was $374 I'm getting for Alexander Holtz. So I feel like that. I feel a lot of people are maybe just holding on to it, and plus it's the off season, and it's just that it's that weird area we're in right now with how everything's been released in the release calendars.
And who knows? There could be a huge sleeper in here.
Cale
McCarr. You never know.
I guarantee there's probably one of these guys is a sleeper, but I want to know why the Buffalo Sabres have so many 2 first name people. We have John Jason, then we have Ukko-Pekka. I'm sure they probably have another one, but that seems odd to me.
They are leading the league in hyphens. That's for sure.
I'm asking the real questions here.
There you go. Okay, so I also wanted to take a look at the inserts and look at some of the biggest sales and kind of try to figure out what are the big chases right now. And the biggest sale so far that I found out of Extended is there's a Black Diamond Emerald 4-gem auto. I think it's out of 25 for Trevor Zegras. It sold for $846. Nice. So this goes back to that question, right? Is it so the biggest from? And again, I might be wrong, and I didn't research this to the end of the world, and so or Earth. So someone might send a bigger sale, but you have your biggest sale out of Extended is a Black Diamond card, which the real Black Diamond came out a week ago.
Yeah.
But don't want to beat a dead horse there, but just kind of, I think that really does kind of illustrate the point. Beyond that, though, it seems like that obviously the Moritz Seider Canvas Black is a big chase. I would like one. Didn't get it, but the one sold for $584. It's pretty strong.
Yeah, that's really good.
It seems like the big chase though there's a super short print Young Guns Retro. It's the 2001-2002 card design. And so there you have a Caulfield at $770, a Lucas Raymond sold for $450, and Quentin Byfield for $300.
Yeah, and those are unnumbered, right? They're just super short prints. They're not serial numbered or anything.
Yeah, but I think from what I remember, at least in last year's Extended, the print runs are super low.
Yeah. Who knows? And there's always could be an Easter egg of these too. You never know. I want to see a retro clear cut exclusive.
And that is one of the cool things about Extended is you do get these tribute cards. And, last year's was the 0506 Young Guns tribute. So that would have been like the Crosby and Ovechkin rookies. You could have a Kaprizov in that design, and this year's 0607, and then the 2001-2002 kind of, I don't know if you call it Easter egg or super short print, but people seem to really be digging those. So we'll keep following Extended just like every release. And as information comes up or interesting value swings, we'll definitely track those and let you guys know. Okay, Troy, let's roll into the men's U18 World Junior Championships.
Excellent. So if everyone I know was tuned in, watched it with bated breath, it was actually a fantastic tournament from the games I watched. Josh, did you catch any of the games or did you just get highlights?
I didn't see any of the games. Okay. I only saw the highlights on TikTok and stuff.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So Canada, if you didn't know, Canada won the gold, defeating Finland in overtime 3-2. That was one of the most exciting games you could watch. That crowd was fabulous. It was like every time the puck got into Canada's possession, it's just, you could hear the volume just kind of raise up in the place. It was really fun to watch, and especially going into overtime and Canada winning, and the place just lost its mind. It was really cool. Of course, our team, the Team USA lost in the quarterfinals to the Czechs. I can say that was a disappointing result. Thought they would do better, but that's the way it goes. They did not play very well in that game, and they lost. So little work to be done on for Team USA. But some of the random thoughts I had, and of course I did do a lot of reading on what was going on and what the pundits were kind of saying about the championships, because obviously we can't watch every game. Like I said, the championship game was one of the best there's been. It was awesome, and everyone loved it. I haven't seen anything about anyone saying they didn't enjoy the championship game. Connor Bedard, we've talked about him. I was reading the Athletic kind of summary, and they are saying he is just the real deal. He showed everyone why he should be the number one pick. Awesome speed, awesome shot. Everything about him was just great. I think the star.
So you're buying a lot of Connor Bedard stock right now?
I'm getting there. Can he flourish with those Blackhawks? That's what we got to see, because I'm still going in the Blackhawks are tanking for Connor Bedard. For sure, the star that came out of this whole tournament, and people knew he was good, but he really came into his own, was Mason McTavish. He, led I think he had 17 points. I can't remember if that led everyone, but definitely had a lot of points. He was a playmaker. He was offensive threat. He did everything well. He's by far the best player in the tournament. And if you haven't seen the highlight, he saves the championship for Canada. Finland, there was kind of a scrum, and the puck is going in the net. It is literally going in the net. It's about halfway up. McTavish comes in, hits it out of midair. The puck goes straight down in front of the goal line, might even touch the goal line a little bit. Tries to whack it once, missed. Another stick from a Canada guy comes in and misses, and then he gets it, and they got it out of there. It was over. That game was over until he knocks that thing out of the air. That was
amazing.
I know you saw it. It's one of the best plays I've ever seen, given even just the atmosphere and what it meant. It was great. So I'll let you, actually, Josh, I'll let you jump in with some of McTavish and analysis.
Yeah, so we talked about him in particular in the last really one or maybe even two episodes, and talking about all the guys that are currently have had league experience, have had young guns out, how an event like the World Junior Championships can accelerate maybe the hype curve for them. And we've definitely seen that for McTavish. So if you look at the 14 days prior to the World Junior Championship starting, so 2 weeks before the start of the World Juniors, McTavish sold, or there was 190 McTavish cards sold on the secondary markets. In the 2 weeks since the World Junior Championships have started, 414 McTavish cards have sold on the secondary market. So his sales have more than doubled.
Yeah.
And I didn't do too much analysis on price change.
Yeah.
I think that it'll be better to look at that in the next week or two. But the volume of cards that are selling has definitely accelerated. He's also got probably the best portraits card of all time.
It is fantastic. It's a great portraits card. But yeah, it just shows how he just came into his own. And if you follow hockey at all and even kind of interested in the World Juniors, you heard about him. That's how good he was playing. We've seen that now with kind of the analysis of all the card sales, what's going on with him. So he's definitely a player to watch, and he definitely got my intrigue after seeing him play in this tournament. He played really great. It was awesome.
Anyone else caught your eye?
So from the U.S. side, Logan Cooley played well. It was kind of funny. The pundits just didn't have a lot of great things to say about the U.S. They thought Logan Cooley kind of looked the best. Speed and skill was out, definitely showing, but that was it. The U.S. was kind of blah and kind of showed in the results. And then from the goalie standpoint, and we got to throw this guy in here because it's a wild prospect, Jesper Wallstedt was by far the best goalie in the tournament. Led Sweden to the bronze. He had a 1.62 goals against, 94% save percentage. The hype is real with that guy. He looks like he will be the real deal, and I can't wait to see him in a Wild jersey. So
are you buying more Jesper Wallstedt stock or more Connor Bedard stock at this point?
Smart person buys Connor Bedard.
Yeah, there you go. It's
the goalie person I am, I'm a Wild fan. I will definitely get some Jesper Wallstedt, but the smart money's on Connor Bedard.
If you want to start pre-selling any Jesper Wallstedt rookie autos to Troy, feel free to message him on Instagram.
I'm going to be known as like the Scandinavian goalie guy, because it'll be Jesper Wallstedt, Pekka Rinne. Yeah, so again, men's U18, great. I am going to give just a little update, personal. I know it doesn't have to do with hockey cards. I talked about last show, the Team USA U18 women's team, where 5 girls on the team I coach made the team, played Canada in the 3-game series. And let's just say Canada came out and basically ran the table, won all 3 games. First game was a 6-5 in a shootout. Second game, the Team USA lost 4-0. Third game, they lost 7-2. Canada looked absolutely dominant. USA did not look very well, or did not look good. They did not play well. I thought I'd give a little update. Shout out to our the goalie at Minnetonka, Layla Hemp. She played very well, even in all 3 those games that they lost. She had like over a 90% save percentage. Got left out to dry on a couple. And the other Tonka girls did great. Just they were outplayed immensely by Canada, and Canada showed why they're the number 1 U18 women's team.
Okay. All right, Troy, now it's time after 5 weeks. 6 weeks. This is week 6. And it's our final Mount Rushmore segment. It's the biggest Mount Rushmore segment, the ultimate NHL Mount Rushmore. So I got to go and kind of get all my notes here because I have pages and pages.
What, you got a book you got to pull out or what?
No, I just printed out all the previous ones. So I had in case I have to argue with you, which I'm sure is going to happen, I have all the information. Okay, so from a ground rules standpoint, just so everybody knows, what Troy and I decided, because we are the Gong Show, and it is the Gong Show, Mount Rushmore, so that allows us to, in some small world, make decisions where normally our wives get to do that. So it's pretty exciting for us. We decided that obviously it can be any player in any position. So we could have 4 centers, 4 goalies, whatever it might be. It does have to be a person, though, that has already been selected, because that would just be super weird. If it wasn't, I don't know. And then we'll just kind of try to figure it out. There's probably a couple obvious cases, Troy.
Yep.
I don't know if we should just start with those.
Well, get
them out of the way.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you a hint. So if you read the comments on all the comments that I had on the Mount Rushmore post, and I put my list together, and then I was looking at the beautiful fireworks you put on the one, and I started reading the comments, and then I saw one comment in there basically has my whole list, and so I got depressed because I felt like I was being too obvious. So there is a commenter that I can't remember the name. I apologize. That does nail my list exactly.
Okay, well, hey, great minds think alike, I guess. So, the other thing that I wanted to mention we're not going to do is we're not going to do an extensive recap of each player's achievements and accomplishments because we've already done that. And we don't want to be repetitive, and people that have listened to our previous episodes where we've tackled these position groups in Mount Rushmore, we think would be pretty boring. And if you're a first-time listener, welcome to the Gong Show, first of all. And you can go back, and any position group you're interested or players you're interested, just go back and listen to those particular episodes. Yeah. Okay, so we'll start. We'll just throw Gretzky out there because it's beyond obvious. And I do have one thing that is kind of crazy that I want to add about Gretzky. And I'm not sure if you know this. I think you might have told me this. Is this? Yeah, go for it. I think I know what's coming. Oh, darn. I hope you don't. Okay, so Gretzky was the quickest to reach 1,000 points. And it took him 423 games. Do you know who the second quickest to reach 1,000 points was?
I don't. Let me just throw out a name. Bossy.
No, it was Wayne Gretzky in his next 433 games.
Oh, that's awesome. Bossy might now I'm going to question myself. Did Bossy even have 1,000? I can't remember. This is so bad. I am remembering stats that we've read off.
Yeah, I could look it up on the. I have like 25 pages of notes, but that's just crazy, right? That he's literally first and second. Not technically, but the fact that if you took his first 400. It's kind of like the Tom Brady, if you've ever heard those stats, where if you took the first 10 years or the first 7 years of Tom Brady's career, he'd be a Hall of Famer. The second 7 years of Tom Brady's career, he'd be a Hall of Famer. And the third 7 years of Tom Brady's career, he'd be a Hall of Famer too. It's just wild. And I saw that the other day about Gretzky. So I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
We would have zero. We probably have no credibility to begin with, but we'd have literally zero if we didn't put Gretzky on there. So congrats, Wayne. You made it, buddy.
You made it. Like we said with the centers, you made it there. Now you made it to the ultimate, the top of the mountain. You're on Mount Rushmore. Congratulations.
I think the second one, as we're going through the obvious choices, would be Orr, right?
Yep, I have Orr.
I don't know. What else do we say about Orr? I mean, he's, as far as defensemen go, he's the bar that everyone's measure. Wait, I'm mixing it up. He's the player that everyone's measured up to. Any other defenseman?
Yeah, he sets the bar that everyone's.
He sets the bar that everyone measured to. Yeah. Okay, yeah, and he's just an icon in the game. It would not make sense not to have him. So again, I don't know what is be interesting to add beyond that, but we have Gretzky and Orr. Okay, now I'm going to turn it to you. Okay, so now it could get interesting.
Yep. So who
do you think?
The next one I had was Gordie Howe.
I did too.
Okay, well, now I had Gordie Howe just from the standpoint of, and remember when we did Gordie Howe, when we did his position, I was the one sitting there. Well, maybe I could look into this. Maybe I just felt like a lot of his stuff was just he played for so long, and then once you read into it, he's an icon. Like he has to be up there. I mean, I'm glad you agree because I didn't want to get in an argument over that, but.
well, now might be a good time, actually, and I maybe should have done this a few minutes ago, but to actually read through quickly by each position group who we selected to give anyone that might be listening for the first time an idea of, I guess, who the pool of candidates are. So the first we did was left wings, and we had Ovechkin, Brendan Shanahan, Paul Kariya, and Luc Robitaille. Then we went to the right wings where we had Jaromir Jagr, Mike Bossy, Gordie Howe, and then Brett Hull. Next was defenseman where we had Bobby Orr, Ray Bourque, Nick Lidstrom, Paul Coffey. I think, Lidstrom and Coffey on this for this level are not probably in consideration. So if you're thinking, okay, who would be there over Howe? Probably definitely not those two. Maybe Brett Hull or Paul Kariya and Shanahan in that group too. Then for goalies, we had Patrick Waugh, Jacques Plante, Martin Brodeur, and Dominik Hasek. And last week with centers, we had Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Steve Yzerman, and Sidney Crosby by the way of the listener vote.
Recency bias.
Yeah. So I had Howe too. I just think he is what would you call him really I don't know if this is accurate. So would he be like the first true superstar in the NHL? Is that? I
mean, the first superstar everyone knows about. I'm sure back in the 20s, 30s, there were guys that were, I don't know what, like Rocket Richard, and were they before?
Sure.
I'm sorry, I don't know the years, but he's the first, I think, superstar that everyone knows about. Obviously, he had the nickname Mr. Hockey, which says a lot right there.
Yeah. So is there anyone, well, it really doesn't matter. We might as well get to the fourth. And this is where I'm probably zagging. And I'm going to be really ticked if we have the same one.
No, I'm guessing we're zagging just because of what you said about the player I have when we did the rundown.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to throw this out there. So my fourth was Patrick Waugh.
Okay. I had Mario Lemieux.
Ah, interesting. Okay. So now the other options, you didn't put Mike Bossy.
No, Bossy, I nailed him for the too short a career for the top four. Obviously, I would love to put him on there just from a goal. Like if you put the top four goal scorer, Mount Rushmore, he's in there. But I don't think from an overall top of the all NHL players from our list of Mount Rushmores, I don't think Bossy's on there.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just run through my thought process quick, and then you can tell me where you agree or disagree. So again, starting back with the left wings and Ovechkin, obviously great goal scorer, will likely break Gretzky's record as we've talked about in the past, but I don't think he's won enough. And I think that's in a lot of these guys for me that aren't going to make it. He has one cup.
Yeah.
And, as we went through and again, I'm going off the top of my head, what Guy Lafleur had, 5?
Something like that.
6 or one of those two, right? So I just don't think Ovechkin's won enough. Shanahan, Kariya, and Robitaille, to me, great players. Definitely, I think, deserve their spot from a left wing perspective, but they're nowhere near on the level of a Gretzky or Orr. They're definitely in a tier down or two from that.
Maybe I should not ask this yet, but do you feel like the left wing was the weakest group of the Mount Rushmores?
Kind of, yeah.
That's what definitely jumps out at me too.
Well, I guess you could say
not Ovechkin, I guess, but
no, but I don't know how you compared goalies to skaters.
Yeah, this thing. I'm like, when you said Waugh, I'm like, oh god, how am I going to compare Lemieux to Waugh?
Well, it is going to be tough. All right, and so then you have Jagr, who, he's got 2 cups, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think maybe he was in Lemieux's shadow, and maybe my perception is that he's got great stats because he's literally 67 years old and still trying to play hockey, and which is a testament to it's not anything to mock by any stretch, but I just don't know. I just think he's in the hall of, or like in the Mount Rushmore of really good, not the ultimate Mount Rushmore. Then you have Bossy, who, man, was a really good player, but like you said, had the short career. I don't think finishing off the right wing group, you have Howe and Hall, and we both nominate. I don't think you would choose Brett Hall over Gordie Howe in any day of the week. Going on to defense, here we have Bobby Orr, which was our second obvious choice. Ray Bourque, maybe you could give just from a leadership perspective, but I don't know. This again, he played forever, which isn't a bad thing. I don't know. Maybe you could come up with a slight case for him. I don't think Lidstrom or Coffey could be considered. Then you have Waugh, Plant, Brodeur, Hasek. If you're going to put a goalie on, that's probably the toughest choice of any of the groups. There's probably a pretty strong case for each one. And then in centers, we had Gretzky, Lemieux, Yzerman, and Crosby. I don't think Yzerman has the stats. He has the leadership and the winning. Crosby, I don't know, isn't at 2 cups. What does he have? 3 cups or 2? 3.
Who's that?
Crosby?
Sydney has 3, I believe. Oh, keep going. I'll find it.
I think they went back-to-back, 16, 17, and then one earlier, right? Anyways, yeah, I don't know. I think that's how I got to Waugh. And I kind of feel like a goalie should be represented on the list too. And it's weird that I would be probably potentially arguing this point to you and not vice versa, I guess. But I don't know.
I agree with you on the. Well, I don't agree with you on the goalie needs to be on it, but dang, did I sit there forever and think about the goalies? Because obviously being a goalie guy, but I didn't want to cloud my view. Crosby has 3 cups. I just found that out. But when I started sitting back, and this comes down, it's not going to be the stats that make Mario Lemieux, because he only played, 915 games. He's got a short career. He played 17 seasons, but he was often injured, cancer, tons of ailments. And even with all that, he still was a 1.88 points per game player. The impact that he had to the game, to Pittsburgh, obviously one of the only players to retire and immediately have his number retired. I think that is a huge thing. I think that stands out to the importance that he was to hockey, how he kind of saved a franchise, all of that. Plus he had the awards for how little he played. He, 3-time MVP in 9 or 15 games. That to me is pretty amazing.
Yeah. But you can't question his iconic status. Yeah. But the thing that I would say about, isn't Waugh have an equal measure of iconic status, obviously for a goalie, but I don't know.
I agree, but I don't think it's as big as Mario Lemieux's.
Yeah, maybe.
If you ask enough people who's more of an icon, I think Lemieux wins that vote.
Yeah, probably. Okay, is there anyone else that should be in consideration? Like, legitimately, do you think that
from the list that we had?
Yeah,
I thought long and hard about Ovechkin just because of what he's doing. But I got stuck on, I don't want to do it because I think he's going to beat Gretzky. And he's only got that, was it 1 cup, I think?
Well, I think that's telling there, right? If you nominated him right now, or we selected him right now, and something happens where he doesn't break Gretzky's record, then we go into instant regret mode. Obviously, it's a huge record. It's crazy. And some people maybe thought it wouldn't be I don't know. I think that his goal record isn't as impressive as his assist record. Yeah. But he's won 1 cup. You can't put a guy so he scored the most goals ever. And how did that translate to winning?
Yeah, true.
And maybe it's not all his fault, right? Because
hockey's one of the biggest team games ever. It's like, it's very hard unless you're Gretzky or it seems like it's very hard if you don't have players around you. And even Gretzky and Orr had players around them when they won cups. So hockey, is very much a team game.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's definitely not, to me, one of the left wings. I just can't get there with Yager. I don't know why. Even I'm having a hard time articulating that. I think Bourque, as great as he was, he doesn't, when you compare him to Lemieux or Crosby or any of the goal, Waugh or Brodeur or Jacques Plante.
Yeah,
it's not.
Bourque almost he almost loses value because he was just good for a long time. It's not like he's this electric personality or electric game or anything. He was a really good defenseman for a long time. Like, really good.
I don't want to concede, but I think you're right about Waugh and Lemieux. It's hard for me not to have Waugh on there because I just think his impact to the position in the league has been huge, but it's not. Is it 80% maybe of Lemieux?
Back to the position of goaltending, but I think I still will argue Mario Lemieux's impact to the game of hockey is bigger than Waugh's impact to the position of goaltending.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
No, I honestly think you're right. So our ultimate Mount Rushmore then would be Wayne Gretzky, no surprise, Bobby Orr, makes sense. Then we have Gordie Howe, which we were both in alignment on there, and Mario Lemieux. That does so. Is this the commenter? Is that their list?
Yes, they nailed it. Like, and I saw that, I was like, oh, but I was like,
okay,
that's what I wrote down, and I'm glad I didn't see that before I did my list, because I would have felt like that influenced me or something. But nope, that was what I had.
So to me, this was a really fun exercise, and it was kind of a 6-week project.
Yeah.
Did a lot of research, learned a ton about these players. But now the cool part, Troy, for me about having our Mount Rushmore is, as time goes on, and if we're lucky enough to still be doing this podcast and people are interested in listening to it, then you roll into, this isn't object permanence, right? Well, somebody can come and take one of these spots at any given moment. And so to me, because I thought other than that last spot you had such a good argument, it really wasn't much of a debate. But now the great question becomes, who playing today do you think has the best chance to, and boy, what a tall task, to replace Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr, Gordie Howe, or Mario Lemieux on the Mount Rushmore of hockey? Is there anyone that you think is playing today?
I mean, there's obviously there's people. It's so hard to knock those off. So I'm going to start with this now. This might be unfair to this player. He's only been playing for 3 years, but I think you know where I'm going. Everyone's heard about him. He was the biggest hyped player this year, Cale Makar. Think about him and what he did. And I really wish I can do analytics, but I wish I knew the theory behind some of these guys and their age curve projections, because given his age, and he's at 180 points, so he's over a point per player game as a D right now. And if you projected that out to year 15, where does that put him using age curves? Now, if you just do straight averages, I did that. It was like 240 goals, 660 assists for 900 points. That's not really fair, because that's not taking that he's probably going to get better until he hits 29.
Not even in his prime.
He's going to hit his prime, 28, 29 years old. Then there might be kind of a tail off at the end, or who knows. But he's one guy, just thinking about it, he's in the year 3 years, has a cup, he's a rookie of the year, has a Norris, has a Conn Smythe trophy, and a 2-time first team All-Star already.
So it's a great start.
Yeah, it's a start.
Right? But it's 5% or 10% of the way there, so a lot has to happen. And I guess before we go along or go any further in this, because I'm really liking this discussion and train of thought, are we in agreement that Lemieux then is the first to get knocked off?
That's who can be picked off. Boy, what if Makar keeps just this insane progression, and now we always compare him to Bobby Orr? What if he becomes better, or everything, like statistical categories, everything is better than Bobby Orr? Does he replace Bobby Orr? Bobby Orr got such prominence for what he did. He revolutionized the defensive position, and Makar's basically following what he did.
Would you have ever chosen Lemieux over Orr?
Good question. Probably not.
So I think you'd have two defense.
Yeah, because I'm arguing that a D should replace it.
And then the other question I would have in just kind of this hypothetical Cale Makar situation is, and it really brings up a larger question, I think. How many cups do you have to win to even be in consideration?
I don't know.
I don't think with one. I think 2 would be you better have some crazy stats and won multiple, whether it be Norris trophies or Hart trophies or something but it's it seems like that the number you're looking for is 3+ in Stanley Cups.
Yeah, I'll say this with cups. The game, obviously we have salary caps. There's more parity. The days of guys winning 10 cups are gone. I don't think you're going to have that anymore. Just how the game has progressed with the business side, with the salary caps, how training. I think 2, but it can be 2 to 3. But I mean, I would hate to keep someone out that has a cup I don't know. I can live with 3 if we want to say that, but I would say 2 or 3. But
2 or 3, okay, at minimum. Is there anyone else other than Makar that you think has a realistic chance?
So I literally went through all the names I could. I looked for articles that talked about guys that could be in the Hall of Fame when they retire. I tried to find older articles. The only names, I'm going to just read the names that jumped out at me: Sidney Crosby, McDavid, Matthews. That was about the 3 names that jumped out at me. And I was like, okay. if their careers progress, if they keep playing fantastic, obviously, like with McDavid, can he win a cup? Just one cup, two cups? I'm not ready to.
You're not ready to put Connor Bedard on the
no, I'm not.
Mount Rushmore.
He might be there.
Oh, okay. Okay, stock's going down. Stock's going down. You were so confident a few minutes ago.
Like Crosby, if Crosby could keep playing another 3 or 4 years and build on his resume, maybe.
What would he have to do in your mind to take the Muse spot?
Not have a concussion. That was unfair. That was unfair. That's a cheap shot. Probably win another cup, and he's on the tail end.
Play well?
Yeah, play well. Win a cup.
I just don't think that they're that good.
I don't think. Probably not. I don't know. Probably nothing right now that you said that.
And then it comes for Matthews and McDavid. They've got to produce a whole heck of a lot of points and win. Yeah, right. And that's the winning is the big question mark. And it's not that I don't think anybody blames either of those two so it's going to be a little bit, I think, situational for them. The other thing too is, with the exception of this past year where we had, what was it, like 6 or 7 100-point scorers, is that points have been down a lot in the last few years. And so I wonder if the game has changed or the competitive environment has changed to the point where how would these guys compare, these newer guys that are coming in and showing some real promise, are they ever going to be able to compete with Howe or Gretzky or any of these guys from a points perspective where, we'll see, I guess, how if last year's point production was a trend or an anomaly at this point, but I don't know.
Yeah, the game and how just all the science, how good these players are, how much better goaltending is. Like, these goalies are unbelievable compared to the era that Gretzky played in. Again, we're comparing eras, but yeah, it's going to be really interesting because I don't think you're not going to see points like Gretzky and Howe. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the game changes, but I don't think you're ever going to see those point totals. So now you got to look at, this is where you have to actually look at the era they're in and see where they rank point production through that time period of whatever, 10 to 15, 20 years, maybe to kind of do some normalization of it. If, we'll get the mathematics with their PhDs in here and they can start running some analysis for us. But
so it's a good way to summarize our conversation around this would be, tell me if you agree, that the two probably closest would be Crosby and Ovechkin. The challenge is they're both nearer the end of their career than they are the beginning, and they would have to play super well and have a lot of team success in order to make unseat one of these guys that we've selected. And just a second, Ovechkin's already producing more at his age than anyone ever has.
Yep.
He had 50 goals at 36, and that's never happened before. So maybe you could say he has a chance there, but I just don't think his team's good enough to win. So, that's going to hold him back in that regard. And then on Crosby, I don't watch every Penguins game, so I'm kind of out on a limb here a little bit, but I don't know how much he has left in the tank.
Yeah,
I mean, I still think he's a really good player, but is he a great player at this point of his career and his injury issues? I don't know. So they're the closest, but there's problems. I think it'd be tough for them to overcome the hurdle of replacing one of these guys. And then for the other guys we talked about, it's just so early and a lot of stuff has to happen.
Yeah, I think
to be in serious kind of consideration.
I'm really intrigued by Austin Matthews though, because I was just looking at stats to make sure I had this right. He's been in the league 6 years. He scored 60 goals last year. And, in his last 3 years, he's had 47 goals, 41, 60 goals. He had over 100 points this year. I'm curious his projection. I mean, you project that out if he can keep it at a high level, which who knows if that will happen. He could be running up against some of those numbers. But again, a lot of speculation there. A lot of speculation there. But
yeah, and it's going to come down to, can he win?
Yep.
And can they put the team around him? And they do have some young talent. So I'm not saying that that's impossible. Okay, so great. I guess we're done with the Mount Rushmore. It's kind of crazy.
It was a fantastic thought exercise. Good debate, good discussion. I think we landed on a good list. The listeners will for sure, listeners and readers of the Instagram page will definitely let us know what they think. We've loved the engagement. Getting over, 35, 40 comments is awesome. Like, I love seeing the debates and even people debating with each other, not always us jumping in. There's other conversations going on. So I'm very intrigued to see what people think.
All right, let's roll into new releases. Now I got to switch gears back from Mt Rushmore here.
Put your book down that you had all your research notes in.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So there is a ton of releases that have come out, that are coming out. So it looks like the next release, Troy, is going to be 2020-2021 Clear Cut.
Okay.
Every indication that I'm seeing is that will come out a week from today, being Wednesday, the day this podcast is released, August 24th. And that's what they're showing on Dave and Adams. I think I see that on Clouds and Chara on the Canadian side. It's pre-selling still at $150 US. It's a 1-card box, right? So high risk, high reward in that regard. And the reason why so very confident that it's coming out very soon is, as we've talked about in many episodes now before, the clearest indication is a checklist being published. And a few days ago, that checklist was indeed published. So that is out there. So you can go to Beckett or Cardboard Connection, Trading Card Database, any one of your favorite spots to check that out. You can also check out our design review that we did on our Instagram. That should be on our profile if you're interested. Biggest thing, of course, is going to be the rookie chases. It is a pretty big checklist. So actually a very big checklist for a 1-card box at $150. And I did look up some, and I wanted to run these by you, Troy, because I think they're fascinating. Some of the odds of pulling a base rookie auto, right? So not even a numbered parallel or just a base rookie auto. So Kaprizov is in 1 out of 135 boxes. Lafreniere is 1 out of 583 boxes. Jason Robertson, again, 1 out of 135. Sorokin, 1 out of 146. Stützle, 1 out of 583 boxes again. You have Norris on a 146, 1 out of 146. Cozens, actually, out of 35 boxes, and Bowen Byram, 1 out of, so that's pretty good odds, I guess. And Bowen Byram, 1 out of 146 boxes. One other kind of interesting anecdote on that, too. So let's say that you really wanted to chase Lafreniere, and you wanted to pull the card, like that was somehow something that was really important to you. So when you're buying a 1-card hobby box for $150 and a Lafreniere base rookie auto is in 1 out of 583 boxes, you would just statistically, you'd have to spend $87,450 on hobby boxes to have the probability that you would pull a Lafreniere, which is crazy.
I would just go ahead and buy the single.
That's where I was headed.
Go to eBay or find the single. Don't, unless you, I mean, I'm sure there's that one person out there that has oodles of money and really wants to pull it. Then they can do that if it's not going to, bankrupt you. But go buy the single.
Yeah, it is definitely if you're seeking this particular player, it's definitely a singles chase there. If you want just a cool card, this will be either acetate or auto cards. And even though there's a big checklist, there are some maybe rookies that you might not be very excited, but the veterans list is pretty good. So it's not horrible in that regard. It seems like the big chases in Clear Cut Troy are the UD Canvas red ink autos.
Yeah.
So if you look back at the last couple of years, there's the number one selling of this card is the Cale Makar out of 8. There's a PSA 10 that's sold in April for $14,500. There's a Shesterkin that sold this July, so a month ago, that's out of 31, another PSA 10 for $6,200. And then on the veteran side, there's a 2018 Connor McDavid out of 7 that sold in March for $1,775. So there are some big chases in here. It's just a really big checklist and 1 card. So you're definitely rolling the dice. But like I said, and this is, again, a 2020 release. So this would be the Kaprizov, Lafreniere, Sorokin, Robertson, Stützle, Norris, Byram kind of rookie lot there. Any interest in Clear Cut, or are you? I mean,
I will. I'll probably buy 1 box just to say I bought one and ripped it, just to see what it's like. I am curious. I can't remember. We were talking about this. Was this is this the Upper Deck canvas? Were those red inks? Those weren't the acetates, right? That's not an Upper Deck.
They are acetate.
Is that an acetate? And this was okay. Yes. Just a little thing that we kind of noticed yesterday. I think when we were looking at the Beckett checklist, right, that they showed an example. I think it was Patrick Kane, and it was out of 88, right? The red ink.
A lot of times it's the jersey number.
Yeah, so
if you notice, Cale Makar's out.
Yeah,
So Camel Car's out of H, Shesterkin's out of 31.
Okay, and then Beckett though was listing it as out of 25 on their checklist. There's a little
I don't understand that.
Yeah, there's a little
maybe somebody can
there.
contact us and let us know. And so the next release looks like it's clear cut. So we went from 2021 Black Diamond to 2021 Extended to now 2020 clear cut. And then beyond that, it looks like there's 2 realistic candidates, and that would be either 2021 Credentials or 2022 MVP. So I want to talk about Credentials real quick because it is, I think, kind of interesting. Right now, it is the checklist is not out, so the release isn't imminent. I'm seeing anywhere from 8/31, which I don't think is the case because if Clear Cut comes out, they're not going to release Credentials on the same day. But if you look at David Adams or Klaus and Chara pushed it to September 15th, Blowout has September to be determined. So it's a mystery at this point, but it should be soon. We did just post the design preview to our Hockey Cards Gongshow Instagram account. So if you want to see what the cards are like, you can go check it out. It is very Panini Contenders-esque in the design. So you got like the debut ticket autos for the rookies, or there's base cards and there's a ton of parallels as well. Right now, pre-sales for this are around $180 US for the hobby box. And a couple of interesting notes to me are, so any auto in Credentials, Troy, is hard signed.
That's nice.
Which is good.
Yep.
That's great. I think 100% of people prefer that. So I've got a question for you. Why would Black Diamond that just came out at $350 a box have, other than Exquisite, I think, most of its autos be sticker and Credentials is hard signed?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about that in the past. Maybe it was the process that they had to get the cards. I thought I've heard people say that the Black Diamond, actually the material is hard to sign on the card. I don't know if that's true, and I don't have enough knowledge to know if that's the case, but I've heard that, and maybe that's why they did the stickers for that type of card. But yeah, it's a curious thing. It's a good discussion.
Okay, but it's a definite. So at $180 compared to $350, having all autos be hard signed is a very big plus. Yep. I would think.
Yep.
For Credentials, and I think from a card design, it's if you like the kind of Contenders rookie ticket kind of approach, that's a potato
yep.
subjective. It either floats your boat or it doesn't. If you are into the design, then the price point to me, again, that's a bonus that they're hard signed. Another bonus is they did not, I don't think, produce a 2020 Credentials. So they're adding in some 2020 rookies as updates.
Okay.
And so this release of Credentials is essentially a dual rookie class.
Yeah, that's nice.
Right? You could hit Kaprizov or you could hit Cole Caulfield as one of your big cards. So I think that's another kind of big bonus. At this point, too, I think it's right to mention that the hobby box configuration, so it's 6 cards per pack, 8 packs per box. So you get, 48 cards in a box for the $180 US dollar investment. You are and this is maybe a little bit of I think what most people would perceive as a negative. You're guaranteed either an auto or an acetate card.
Yeah.
To me, just about everyone's going to be bummed if their box hit is the acetate
unless it's
the auto.
Unless it's a huge acetate card.
Sure. Yeah. The base set has 50 veterans and 100 rookies. So again, to me, you get in these 100 rookies, that's a little bit, there's a lot of probably not very exciting rookies.
Yeah.
The checklist isn't out, so we don't know who those are, but there's not 100 big chases for rookies, I can tell you that.
Yeah, at least with rookies, there's a little more potential than, if you put a lot more veterans in and you get your Mark Scheifele's or people of that ilk where there's not really a hobby market for them. So at least the potential's there with the rookies.
So to me, I think Credentials is interesting. If you're into the card design, it should be probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. It's got a very interesting, I think a pretty good price point, actually, especially with that dual rookie class and the fact that they're all hard signed autos. So the other candidate that could come out that we know or we think is coming out very early September, and we're now getting into the mind-blowing scenario. Yeah. It would be 2022-23 MVP. We're going to have a lot more information on, especially on our social media, coming up in the next few days. Right now it's $58 pre-sale per hobby box. It's not a hugely chased product, but it's significant, Troy, in that it's the first release for the new season, a new set of rookies. And really, I think we started predicting almost in our first episode, or first handful of episodes anyways, that in September, it looks like it'll be late August, early September, we're going to have this weird time where we're going to have back-to-back-to-back releases that are all 3 different years, right? So we're talking about 2020 Clear Cut, 2021 Credentials, and 2022 MVP. Holy Hannah, are people going to be confused?
Yeah, it's not ideal, but at least I give Upper Deck credit for getting these products out. And if this is how it falls and this is how they have to catch up, I don't think they can keep this going for that long though, or else just the market and getting new. How do you get new people into hockey cards? And then they look at these new releases and they're just like, what? There's a 3-year difference between a new release from last month to the one coming out this month. I think it's going to create a very confusing marketplace.
Well, we're probably going to have, especially with the Cup for sure, a period where the Cup gets released and the big rookie chases are in their 3rd year in the league. Yep. It's like, wow, their pensions are already vested at this point. I don't know. I don't know when that happens, but it is kind of crazy. So we're going to do our best, and we're committed to helping, keep everyone straight and be on top of what's coming out next, and also trying to navigate too. Because I think another important point to piggyback off what you just said is there could be a whole bunch of products in the next 6-8 weeks, and if you do have, if money isn't growing on trees in your yard, right? All of us are going to have to kind of figure out, well, where should we spend? Where should we pull back? I think we're all sort of captivated by the bright new shiny toy. And so when a release comes out, at least I'll talk for myself, I reflexively want to go out and get it. But I think it'll pay to be a little bit more strategic over the next couple of months. Yeah. All right. Now it's time for personal pickups. So what did you buy in the last week, if anything, Troy?
I bought at Nash Cards in Nashville, Tennessee, where I took my trip. I bought 2 boxes of 21-22 Extended Series and 1 box of 21-22 OPG paper, trying to make up for the Platinum box. So hopefully I'll find another, or we'll find another on fire one, like the first box of OPG that was ripped open. But that's all that'd
be nice.
Yeah, that'd be super nice. That's all I really bought in the past week.
Gotcha. So I bought a few boxes of Extended, opened those, pulled some decent cards. Probably be hanging on to those for the start of the season if I'm going to sell any of them. I don't, we've talked off season as the buying season. It's not the selling season. So I'm trying to be strategic, I guess, in that regard. I did also buy a couple, and feels very weird to even say this out loud, Troy, but I bought a couple singles, both Blues players.
I see that.
Which, as a Wild fan, it's really hard. One, I have a good excuse. Yeah. I bought some Scott Prunovich. I'm from Hibbing, Minnesota, so is Scotty. And we know my family knows his family, so it's pretty awesome to just get really proud of him for all he's accomplished. And he's had to overcome since winning the Hobey Baker at UMD and some injuries his first couple years into the league, but I'm still biased but bullish on his future. And then I got some really good deals on some Jake Neighbors Young Guns, and I've just been reading that he seems like a legit prospect. So on one hand, I hope he does well, so the value of my cards go up and I can flip them and get rid of them and not have anything Blues attached to my collection. But on the other hand, I hope he's terrible and stinks so the Wild can beat them every time. So it's very confusing purchase from my perspective, but that's what I got. All right, guys. Well, that is our show for the week. Again, thank you to everyone that continues to listen. Welcome to everyone that's new. We're thrilled to have you listen to our show. Be sure to message us on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, however you like to do your social media, and let us know what you think. We hope everyone has an amazing week, and we can't wait to be back a week from today and talk more hockey cards. See you later.